Sure, but he did perhaps alter the play of the fielder with or without contact. Grenier into right. Foul ball by about half an inch. Foul ball, says the right field umpire Barry Chambers.
And Barry Chambers was positioned perfectly on this. Watch him rotate. Oh, this ball slices. Foul. Gets in perfect position right here, reads it, doesn't hesitate whatsoever.
Ooh, wow, is that close? They're going to talk about this one
that
too.
One's going to get looked at again.
Yeah. This one was close.
Remember, these umpires are not used to being out there. Usually 4 umpires used.
I don't know. I kind of think that's a fair ball, boys. I think that's a fair ball. A little white grass gets buried underneath that baseball. Now the question becomes, what do you do with Stephen Kwan, the base runner, if it's ruled a fair ball? Here's a better look at it. You're looking for indisputable video evidence.
Looks like it's on the line.
It does look like it.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you're wondering about chalk, that's paint actually on the grass. So
that's as close as you can have it.
Yeah.
I mean, when we roll it back, stop it, take a look at it 2 or 3 times, Barry Chambers is right on top of it. In a spot like this, and I know it is paint, but every once in a while you see a little bit of grass fly up that is painted, and then you know that it hit the paint.
So here's the applicable rule. If this is overturned and changed and called fair and results in decisions on the placement of the base runners, the crew chief has to use his best judgment to determine their locations as if it had been made correctly, with the exception of the placement prescribed by rule on a catch or no catch. So this is a fascinating one here because Kwan has bad hamstrings, or a bad left hamstring. So does Kwan, in your opinion, get to third base if it's overturned? So you're going to put him at first and third?
Absolutely.
You would put him where? First and third?
Yeah. Watch.
Put him at second and third.
No. I put him at third. Well, second and third is a good argument.
Second and third is a good argument.
Kwan's absolutely at third. So I mean, I think that's undeniable given where he was. He's already turning around.
Yeah, he would get to third.
And to Eddie's point, I mean, where Cole was when you see it, he was playing just to make sure it didn't go down in the corner.
Right.
So where he was, based on that ball hitting up in front, because the foul territory fence goes and kind of cuts back towards the line.
Kwan with a good hamstring, he scores on that.
I agree. I don't think there's any way you can put him there.
Right.
I think you put him at third. Then the decision is, where does Grenier go? And I would agree with you. Based on where Cole was, I think Grenier goes to second.
I think they'll play it safe that way. And
all that being said, I'm not 100% sure it's fair.
Well, I think it's taken this long because they might be deciphering where do the runners go.
On a game in which right now Oregon State feels a wee bit slighted on that interference call. They're trying to figure out where to place the runners. So the call on the field is a foul ball. If they're trying to figure out where to place the runners, then they've already made the decision that it's a fair ball.
If you move it forward, you'll see Cole come into the picture after it bounces.
Ball bounces towards where he is. That's a close one. That's a good debate. Does he go to second or first?
I think he goes to second, Raph.
Okay.
I really do. If Cole's breaking in on that, if he sees that ball's going to hit before it goes down in the corner, then I think it's a different decision. But with the depth that he was in that right field corner, I don't think there's any way that he throws Grenier out at second base.
Hey, is that line straight? All right. Well, here comes the crew chief. Fair ball. You can read it. We're going to put you to third.
I think they're going to put Grenier at first.
At first base. First and third is what they're going to do.
They're going to put Grenier at first base.
Yeah.
Grenier was sort of. Welcome back. Key plays. This baseball game has become a little bit unhinged. An interference call here. Adley Rutschman. He didn't peel off to right. He interfered with the second baseman. Then there was this call, fair foul, and where the runners go.
That's what took so long, is the placement of the runners, Pat. Okay.
By rule, we go with a conservative placement of runners.
So it's not a rule, man. It's your decision.
No, that's what the replay committee had.
The replay committee doesn't think that he's going to get the second base.
That's why they looked at it so many times. That's what took us so long. The placement of runners.
So when he hits it.
So Pat Casey's 2-2, smothered. They'll go to second for one. Back to first, nobody there. Had a chance perhaps to come home to get Larnach. Instead, Jared Gates opted to throw to Biggers. And we have still one down.
You know what? It's not going to matter.
Sending him back. You're right.
It's not going to matter.
Larnach is going back to third base.
Chris Koski's the second base umpire and immediately called interference. So when that happens, you got out at second, out at first, base runner goes back to third. That changes the entire ball game. Watch the slide. That's the key here. Rutschman's the base runner. Does he go straight into the base? Well, he didn't slide, and I guess ultimately that's the call.
I don't understand how that's interference. Again, he's not even close to the bag yet. He's ducking. He's getting himself out of the way right there. He's in no harm's way of the second baseman. It's the second time that Oregon State gets called for interference at second base in this College World Series.
Reminds me a little bit of the LSU play from last College World Series, but clearly Rutschman's choice. If you're not going to run or slide, he attempted to duck, but just get all the way down. I'm sure that's what Pat Casey's being told.
Well, but here's exactly the way the rule reads.
Yeah.
The rule reads on any force play, the runner must slide on the ground before the base in a direct line between the two bases. So if you read the rule the way that it is written, you have to slide. I'm not saying it's right.
I get it. I get it. But look where he ducked.
I understand duck, but if the rule says you have to slide on the ground and he didn't slide on the ground, ultimately you can't do that.
I wonder if he'd be allowed to peel off towards right field. Could he peel off and totally get out of the way, or is that also interference?